Okay, now we get to the assembly of the pasty itself, and there's no great magic to this. It's all done with raw vegetables and raw meat. I had my pound of pastry and I cut it into 4 pieces. 3 are in the oven. This is number 4. That is pastry that's actually been cut off as I've been making them, because I'm using a plate as a template. If you make a hole in your pastry because you've got it a little bit too thin, well, you patch it. I mean, that's the fun with pastry. You can just patch pasties quite easily. If I'm doing a pasty and say Anne is a vegetarian, well, I'd probably not use meat, obviously. I'd be putting cheese or something. But I'd have to mark hers specially. Or if I was putting kidney in and somebody else didn't want kidney, you mark it either with an initial that you can use with your leftover pastry, or maybe little balls, 1 for Anne, 2 for Marion, 3 for somebody else, so people can identify their pasty. Pete used to have that, plus that, because he used to have a big one. Being a Cornishman, of course, he couldn't get enough pasty. And his mother used to make them every Saturday. And I said to him, God, don't expect me to do that. All right, so here we are. I'm just making it more or less into a round shape, and I'm just pressing it down a bit. And when you're rolling pastry, don't squeeze it to death. You want as much of the air in there as possible, which will make it nice and light and kind of flaky. You can make a rough puff pastry with this. When you've actually done it, don't do it in a circle, do it in an oval, and or a rectangle rather, and then fold your sides to make it into thirds, and then roll it out, and then turn it round and do thirds and roll it out, and it goes very flaky. It's a really useful pastry to know. Okay, so here we go. Huh? Guess. Yeah, you might have known that'd be my plate. All right. I knew that would make you laugh. Okay, so I'm using this size because that's the size I was doing today, but this would actually make something else. You can always make cheese straws or make something else. That funny noise is beady. All right, now, there's nothing really very precise about this. You need about half of a potato, a medium-ish potato, when you're making a pasty. And the reason I'm actually doing the video is because it's easier to learn, I think anyway, to see it actually made in front of you. Now, this is called shripping, and what you're doing, can you see that, what I'm doing, Anne? What you're doing is you're shaving little bits, thin, even bits of potato. Okay? So you're shaving it. Now, if you're not happy with doing it with a knife, because I must admit, I keep my knives really sharp, but I'm used to dealing with that, then you can put it on the board and do it that way, or even on a mandolin, probably if it's a small enough potato. But what you want is shaved bits. You don't cube it. You will not see a carrot in here. But what you want is, just because I'm actually a reenactor, what you're going to do is you're going to make a little Sutton Hoo. You're going to make a little mound of potato in the middle of your pastry circle. And that is very much by eye. So there we go. I don't know if you can see that. That is like a small dome, well, elliptical dome of pastry. That is actually Marion, so you just hang on. Yeah, just hang on a second and I'll be there. The door's open, Marion, come in. Oh, go on there. Come on in.
Oh, is it open?
Yeah. I shouted at you to let it yourself in. Right, we've just paused the video, so you just get yourself sorted and come through. Okay.
I've not paused it.
You didn't pause? Okay, well, say hello, Marion.
Hi! Nice to see you, girls.
Oh, that's lovely. Oh, these are my 2 best friends, so it's really good. It's a bit of a giggle doing stuff like this. Okay, so we've got the potato. Now, what we're going to do now is, this is swede. Well, I call it swede. Some people call it turnip. If you don't get the yellow turnip, you can use white turnip. But what you do want is that you want your turnip. Now, we're going to shave that as well. Try to avoid very sharp edges sticking up, because that will definitely make a hole in the pastry. So what you're going to do is you're going to do not another mound. You're just going to do one single layer. That's too thick. Let me just take that away. You're going to do one single layer and cover the potato with a layer of thinly shaved swede. So, as you can see, making a Cornish pasty is really not difficult at all. But if you make these, the taste compared to any that you buy, well, you'll never want to buy one again. And then if you ever go to Cornwall and you buy some of the ones that you get there, you're going to be so superior in your knowledge because you'll know that it's absolute rubbish that you're eating. But there you are. And if it's mince, and if it's got carrot in it, well, that's a meat pie, folks. That is not a Cornish pasty. All right, so there we are. We've got I don't know if you can see because the colour's not really strong, but you've got I've covered with the swede. This is actually Gus's dinner. All right, now, that is approximately 100 grams of meat. This is actually braising steak. It could be stewing steak. What you don't want is anything expensive like a rump steak or sirloin or any of that. I gave some lesson to a young lady, and her mother sent her with fillet steak. Well, it came out just horrible because it was so dry and tough. So you want a slow cooking, cheap cut. And as you can see, that's about the size of a fingernail. It's just small pieces. I think in America you can get coarse chili grind or something. So you want to cut the meat into little small bits. And it's really, to one pasty this size, it's about a handful like that. And then you put it on and you cover that with a layer of the meat. And you just arrange it so that it's actually thin at one end and fatter in the middle. There you go. Now, Pete's mother, bless her heart, sometimes forgot that she actually needed to salt them. So she'd forget that she salted it, or she'd leave it out altogether, or she'd do it twice. So I always season the meat so that I don't forget. So you don't need a lot, just a little bit of salt, a bit of pepper. There you go. And now we're going to cover that with onion. Now again, you've got to watch out for your sharp edges. Try and keep them going sort of along the way and flat rather than sticking up. And you're probably going to do half a layer, really. Just a gentle kind of covering of the thinly shaved bits of onion. Not a huge amount. We're nearly done. See how easy it is. But what it has to be, of course, is raw. Everything, that's the secret of Cornish pasties, is because you're cooking everything from the raw, all the flavours meld together and really taste great. Okay, so that's now all we're needing is some parsley. Doesn't need a lot. Doesn't that look pretty? Okay, there we are. So now, a bit of water. Just on that top edge. So now you need dry fingers. So that's why I've got a cloth here. Into the flour, because we don't want to stick to the pastry. And you see how thick the pastry is. It's about like a British pound coin. So that's probably about 3 millimeters high. Fatter than the lighting I'm doing at the minute. All right, so here we go. Taking it from the center, look, both sides up, into the middle and squeeze. Okay? Now you're going to very gently, I'm not pushing hard at all, I'm just gently making sure that that's all inside, and I'm squeezing like that. This is actually the reason I'm doing the video, so that you can see this bit. Now I'm holding that inside there with my finger, and I'm going to pinch the end so that it won't fall out the end. And then I come up, poke that in, look, it's coming out, and there we are. So it's got like this little kind of dragon's frill, I suppose. Okay, that one's fallen out. We'll put you back in. Right, so again, I'm actually just shifting it, moving that inside so I can get to the end. I'm turning that on its side so it doesn't poke through. And I'm going to pinch that end closed. So there we are. That's that. Doesn't need any patches that I can see. Right, now you want to get that nicely pinched all the way along. And this is the bit that everybody really has trouble with. And it's not hard once you've seen it done. Right, with your right fingers too thick, take the end. With this hand, you take the next bit along and you push that to the back. And that bit you tuck underneath and push. Now move along and take that bit and pull it underneath and pull. And under, and under. Just move along under. And then tuck that bit underneath the bottom. There we are, that's that. Done. Put a little slit in the top. And I've actually got some butter. I haven't used margarine for this, but I do put butter in there. And that goes in the hole. That is your Cornish pasty now ready for the glaze, which is a bit of beaten egg. Then it'll go in the oven, 200 degrees Celsius, which is 400 Fahrenheit. That's poking through a little bit there. No, it's okay. For 10 minutes, and then drop the temperature down to 190 for us, 375 for about 40 or 45 minutes. They take about 50 minutes in the oven. When they come out of the oven, don't eat them straight away. The liquids inside will be absolutely boiling. My mother-in-law said, "Dawn, you didn't put any stock in your pasties." And I said to her, "Well, I never saw you put stock in, so I've never done that." "Oh," she said, "well, they might be very dry." Well, she burnt her mouth and it ran down her arm and burnt her arm. So take care. That's it. Let me just show you now what these are looking like, because they've been in the oven while we've been doing. And I'm going to put them down. I'll take them up. There they are.
Oh, delicious.
Can you see them bubbling away inside? Don't they look good? They smell divine. What's the time? Let me just see how long they've been in. That they can come out. Okay, so there we are. They're done. Need a slice to lift that. Now we used to actually serve these. I can see the pastry's actually expanded. That's because of all the air that we put in, because we have been very careful how we made it. And there we are. That's them done. How we used to eat this, yes, you can use a knife and fork, but you can also take one end and cover it with a napkin and just put it in your hand and just eat, you know.
Oh, yum.
Yeah. It just depends what. I wonder if it's just too hot, if I can open it up to show you what it's like inside. I'm just going to break it. Can you see that? Steaming away. So there we are. Cornish pasties. There you go. Enjoy.